today I'm going to show you how to make fabulous focaccia. Now, in advanced catering, you're going to do this for a couple of different things. Number one, you're going to do this in class, so you're probably watching this for the purpose of to make it for yourself. Or you're going to be making it for a catering event. The recipe I'm going to make here is going to be just a regular recipe, so it's only going to make about a half of a loaf of focaccia bread. And if you're going to do it for a catering event, your teacher may give you a recipe that yields a full sheet pan, and you're going to be making multiple batches, so it kind of just depends. So we're just going to make a regular scaled down batch like you would make at home, okay? So the first thing you're going to do is we're going to pre-measure all of our ingredients. Now, focaccia bread is like pizza, very similar to pizza. So it's like you're going to make a yeast bread crust, and then you're going to prep the toppings. There's no sauce or anything. Sometimes it's really thick and bubbly, sometimes it's very flat. This particular recipe, it's like a focaccia flatbread, essentially is what it is, okay? So I've already pre-measured, essentially. I'm not going to show you how to measure, because at this point in your culinary classes you know how to do that. So this recipe, because it's a yeast bread, you're going to be using water, heated water. You're going to be using some yeast. You're just going to use instant rise yeast. You're going to use sugar, which feeds the yeast, salt to inhibit the growth process and for some flavor, and then obviously some flour. Alright? So that's everything for our dough. Alright? Now, you're going to put this in one big baggie, and then you'll make the dough the next day, or maybe your teacher will have you make the dough and then prep the toppings. Kind of depends. There's lots of different aspects of this recipe. Okay? Now for your toppings, and I'm going to show you how to make the toppings right now. I'm just going to set this off to the side. You need onion, and you're going to use a half of an onion, and you can chop it, finely slice it. Kind of just depends on your flavor preferences. And this is going to be cooked. So you just need a half. All right. You are going to use Parmesan cheese, which I've already grated. Now your teacher will buy you just a whole block of Parmesan cheese, and then you'll grate it. Already done that. Garlic, some olive oil, rosemary, and I'll kind of explain that a little bit more when we get to that ingredient. And then a mixture of seasonings, which is just salt and pepper. Okay? So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to use a small little saucepan. Let me move this so you can see it. Alright, so what you're going to do, we're going to heat up our oil. Okay, so start the pan, pour your oil in. It says to use olive oil. If you don't have olive oil, vegetable oil will work just fine. The reason why a recipe like focaccia or pizza would call for olive oil is just because it's more flavor, but vegetable oil does just fine. Okay, so we're going to heat that up. Grab a spatula. So as that's heating, I'm just going to show you. I'm going to let that heat for a sec. As I'm waiting for it to heat, I'm just going to show you how I want you to cut the onion so it's clear, so there's no mistakes. So you're going to take half of your onion, and you are going to slice the two sides. Put this in your garbage bowl. And then we're going to just peel off the outside. Right. And then you're just going to take your knife and you're going to thinly slice. When I make this focaccia bread recipe at home, I like to keep it like this because I think it looks more visually appealing for the presentation aspect. And then when it's going to cook down, and you're just going to spread it off, so it's not going to stay whole like this. So that's how I like to do it. A lot of students do not like onion, but when you cook onion, it really changes the flavor and adds a lot of rusticness to a dish. So you can then, which is what I did, take this and then just do a chop back and forth. until it's, you know, small enough for you. So I have had students who mince this and then you don't really taste it all as much. Just add that, like I said, that rustic appeal. Okay. All right. So there we go with that. When you're making this for yourself, if you don't like a lot of onion, just add a little. But when you're making it for a catering event, you want to make sure you're using the full amount. All right, so once this is heated, it's going to shimmer, which I see it shimmering. I'm just going to add in, you can hear it sizzle like so. Add in all of your onion. And this is going to take a little bit of time for it to cook down. You really want it to be like a light brown color. And depending on how hot your heat is, it could take, you're almost like sweating it, and then it will caramelize. And that, the more you cook it, the more flavor you're bringing out. Unless you burn it, you don't want to burn it. I'm just going to turn my heat down. And the kids always ask me when they make this, are we going to smell? Yeah, when you cook onion, you're probably going to smell. But it's important that you wear your chef jacket so the scent doesn't go on your clothes. But something as fragrant as an onion, you're definitely going to have a smell to it. To this, we are going to add our garlic. Just 1 clove of garlic. If you really like garlic, you can always, this is one of those recipes that you can add more. And cook this a little more. I'm just going to let this kind of sit, moving it around very liberally. We'll be right back. Alright, so we're back and I've caramelized this onion. Now, it took probably about 5 to 6 minutes, and your recipe says to do it for about 15. If you're doing more, that's when you want to do it a little bit longer, but it should be this like light brown color, and that's what it should look like. The flavors have been developed. So now what you're going to do is you're going to let it cool, and then you'll put it into a baggie and save for when you put it on your focaccia bread when you bake it on the finished dough. Okay, so I'm just going to let that cool and set that off to the side. The other thing I wanted to show you was the rosemary. Now you're going to use fresh rosemary. This is fresh rosemary. They sell it dried. It's more flavorful when you buy it fresh. That's why we're using fresh. And you don't, it has like a wooden stem. You want to just take all the leaves, take them off, like so. Okay. And then you are going to finely mince this. So we're just going to go back and forth. And it's very, very fragrant. And it adds a lot of good flavor to the focaccia. Very, very fresh. Back and forth. Okay, so we have that ready to go. That should be pretty good. And put it right into my baggie. So it's all ready to go. You have everything ready to go. If your mise en place is ready, it's going to save you a lot of time, especially when you're making a ton of batches of this. Because if we were going to make this for like a dinner, we would need to make about 15 to 20 batches, bulk batches, 15 to 20 sheet pans of this focaccia bread. So you got to move really, really fast. All right? So once everything's prepped, you move quicker in the kitchen. So here are all of our toppings. And they're ready to be assembled on the dough. So we'll see you back in a couple minutes. Hello, today I'm showing you how to make the fabulous focaccia, and right now I'm going to show you how to make the dough for the fabulous focaccia. And like in Pastry Chef, this is very similar to making like pizza crust. This is from a yeast leavening agent. So let's get started. The first thing you're going to need is a half cup of warm water. Now, if you recall from Pastry Chef, it should be lukewarm, like bath water. So you can do that by just taking it right from the sink faucet, or you can just heat up cold water in the microwave. Make sure you check with your teacher. It should be about 110 degrees. All right? So to that, we are going to add in 1 teaspoon of rapid dry yeast. And remember, you are making this come alive. So I'm gonna put that right in there. And then we're gonna feed the yeast with 1 tablespoon of sugar. Right into here. So I've already measured. Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your whisk and you're just going to dissolve that mixture together. And you should smell the yeast activating. And I'm just going to put a small pinch of salt just to inhibit the growth. If you recall that from Pastry Chef, the salt inhibits the growth. Mix that up. And then I'm going to wait about 3 minutes for this to proof. So we'll be right back and we'll show you it proof. Alright, so our yeast has proofed. You can see it's not fully proofed to where I 100% like it, but it's definitely on its way, so it's ready to go. You might want to wait a couple more minutes in class just to make sure it has definitely bubbled a lot more, but you want to see that white, and again, you want to smell the fermentation, which you learned in Pastry Chef. Okay? So to our mix master, I am using the dough hook attachment, and I have put in there 2 cups of all-purpose flour. You could also use bread flour. It has a higher protein content, but the all-purpose works just fine. So to this, what we're going to do is we're just going to add in our proofed yeast water mixture. We're going to put that up, and then we are going to start stirring it. And mix. Let it just kind of do its thing, start mixing. As that mixes, I am going to combine 2 tablespoons of just any kind of water. It can be cool, warm, whatever you want. And I'm going to add into that 1½ teaspoons of salt. And I'm just going to mix that together. This is just going to add more liquid and flavor to the dough with the salt. And then I'm also going to add this to the dough mixture in a minute. I'm also going to add 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And again, vegetable oil is fine. Okay, if you want to look in there, you can see that it's starting to come together. But it's always the size. So I'm going to stop. I'm just going to combine the size. Like so. You can see it's definitely starting to come together. A little higher, and now I'm going to add in my water slowly. That's okay. Be more cautious than me. And then now you can see it's starting to come as a ball. I'm just going to lower it and add in that oil. This is a lean dough, but we do have the oil just to make it moist. You can see it's coming together. And then I'm going to let this knead for about 3 to 4 minutes, and I'm just going to let it go. Now you can do this by hand or in the mixer. It's a little bit cleaner in the mixer, and it does its thing. So I'm going to let this go for 3, 4, or 5 minutes. So we'll be right back. We're back, and I've let this go for about 4 minutes, and the dough is good to go. Now, in class, if you make this for yourselves, obviously you're going to have a small amount like so, or if you're making a large amount, you're going to have a ton, so you might need to divide it up, and you'll obviously be using the bigger kitchen mixer. I'm just going to flour up my hands, take this off, like so, and I am just going to put a little bit of flour down. Take this out, like so. I don't want to work it too much, but I'm going to work it just for a second, just to make sure it's smooth and it all comes together. It's a little sticky, but it shouldn't be too sticky. And like I said, I've already worked my dough for the amount of time, so you just want to make sure it just comes together, like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it rise. In class, you're going to have this rise in a baggie, because there's just not enough bowls. If you're doing a large batch for like a catering event, you'll probably do it in a large hotel pan. It kind of just depends on how your teacher has you doing it, okay? But what you want to make sure is when you let it rise, you need to put enough oil in it, or else it will form like a skin, so you want to make sure there's enough oil. So I'm just going to press this in here, and there we go. That one probably has a little much oil, so I'm just going to drain some of it out. And you're going to label it, and then you are good to go. Now this should double pretty much in size, and then you'll punch it down, and I'll show you how to roll it out. So we'll be back. So we're back with the focaccia bread, and the dough has risen. It's not as puffy as what you would think, but it definitely has doubled in size, so we're going to go with it. Yours might be a little rounded. It kind of just depends on the size of your bowl or how much dough you're making. So when it says you're going to make half of a loaf, as I told you at the beginning, this is like a flat bread focaccia. Alright, so it's going, when I say half of a loaf, essentially it's going to cover half of the sheet pan. If you were making a bulk amount for a catering event, it would cover the entire sheet pan. Okay, so it kind of just depends on how thin you roll it out, etc. So I am going to roll out about half the sheet pan, but I'm going to put it in the center just because I'm only making one. But in class, depending on how many groups there are, you're probably going to have to share this one sheet pan. So I'm just going to set this off to the side, and I've lightly floured my surface. I'm just going to move the flour around. Don't put too much flour down or you'll dry out your dough. Okay, and I'm going to just punch it down and take it out. Okay, just like so. And with this, it's already very relaxed. So I actually let this rise at room temperature, so it's working very well. Now when you do it in class, it's going to be cold, so you want to make sure, you want to let it kind of rest, and then it will be easier for you to work with when it's at the room temperature after you've punched it down. It will only take about 5 minutes. So I've already gotten it pretty big. I'm just going to lightly take my rolling pin and just lightly roll it out, and I'm just doing it to get it semi-thin. I'm not shaping it yet because I'm going to do that when I actually put it on my sheet pan. I'm making it really thin, so this might even cover the whole sheet pan. It was only a half batch compared to what you make for a catering event. And you're just looking for it to be thin. You're not focusing on shape yet. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this right in here. I'm going to lift it. It will be easier for me to move. This right here. And then just unroll it like so. So that's nice and easy for you. And now you're going to shape. So I just moved a little. My fan is blowing. Okay. I'm just going to move this around. Alright, so we're back, and you're just wanting it to fit in the inside of, like pretty much the size of this. Again, I got mine really thin. Yours might be only half. It kind of depends on your dough. All right. Now the next step, and this is a review from Pastry Chef, is you want to dock this, because if you don't, it's going to bubble up and it's not going to be consistent. So you can do this with a fork. I'm just doing it with a paring knife, and I'm just going to dock it, make little holes, and this will prevent it from bubbling up. Okay. And I'm good. The next step is I'm going to pour my olive oil on here. The olive oil serves as a sauce. So I'm just going to move this around just to coat it. So this would be like your tomato sauce if you were making pizza. Put it into perspective for you. Now those caramelized onions, I'm just going to set them down. You want to use all of them because they're amazing once they're cooked again. You just want to move it so each piece gets a little. Like so. Then I'm going to sprinkle out that rosemary. I'm just going to lightly sprinkle this with my fingers. You don't want to clump it on in one big clump. You want it all over. Fresh herb. Okay, the next one is I'm going to do the salt and pepper mix. Now in the recipe it says to taste. I would start with a half teaspoon of each. You can always add more after baking it, but a half teaspoon of each should be fine. What a lot of students do when they put this on after they've pre-measured is they clump it all on at once, and then one section is really, really salty and the rest of it's not seasoned. So it's really important that you sprinkle it like all around. Just gonna make sure. So. And then last but not least, Parmesan cheese. You can put Asiago, Parmesan. Mozzarella is not as flavorful, which is why we're not using it. So mozzarella is a no-no, but Parmesan, Asiago, Romano, a blend of all three would be fine. You just want a flavorful cheese. Okay? So we are good. And then we are ready for baking. And you are going to cook at 400 degrees. It's going to take about 15 to 20 minutes. So I'm going to set it in there. Set it. And we'll Alright, so we're back, and this is the finished focaccia bread. You can see that it's light golden brown. And I'm going to cut this for you so you can kind of see how we serve it. I'm going to use kitchen shears. You can use a pizza cutter. I just feel like sometimes kitchen shears get the job done very quickly. So what I've done is I've literally gone straight down and I've just cut strips, okay? Now, I want to cut this kind of like breadsticks. So I'm going to cut it like this, so it's about like 3-4 inches. And then I'm just going to put this on top and I keep going on. So it's all about the same portion. So start with one, and then you just keep going, so it's all about the same. Because when we're servicing this at a catering event, it looks more presentable when they're all about the same portion. Now if I put this, and this, that doesn't look as nice, okay? So that's extra. Give to your teacher, and she'll distribute it up amongst the class. Just keep going, like so. And then you would put this in a hotel pan, and you can serve it hot. And actually, we've also served this cold on a salad buffet line, and it actually tasted good too. So this is really, there's lots of options for how you can serve this. You can make this a day ahead and then reheat it, really whatever you want, depending on the preference of how much time you guys have in class or for an event. All right, so enjoy. Thank you.